Natural Wellness Physiotherapy. Today we're going to talk about a concept called toe yoga. We have in the past talked about whether people really need arch supports. You know, if you have flat arches or if you have, collapsed arches or things like that, like, do I really need this insert in my shoe to help me fix that problem? And what I tell people a lot of times, and we'll post that video below, but what I tell them is like, those videos or those arches are a nice temporary fix. If you're having some kind of heel pain, you're having, plantar fascial pain or Achilles pain, like, they can help us solve our problem temporarily. Do you want to be wearing this arch in your shoe until the day you die? Probably not. I tell people a lot of times this thing is like a Band-Aid. Like, it will help us solve a problem temporarily, but if we go back and we think about the root of the problem, a lot of times this is a strength issue, right? As if I think about my foot and I'm standing on it and collapsing on it, and my heel is all, and my arch is all collapsed in, but then I raise my foot up and I look at it and then I have an arch again, then what that tells us is like, hey, this is in part a strength issue, right? Your mobility might not be good in some areas, but if it's a strength issue, great. Here's what we have to do, start strengthening this thing. Now, it's not gonna be you're gonna start doing these exercises and 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, no need for arch supports anymore. But what it is gonna tell you is like, hey, over the next 3 or 6 months, I can start doing some of these exercises, be pretty consistent with it, and gradually work your way out of those arch supports. And that's what I tell people, is just kind of start weaning yourself out of some of these things. Now, if you have a collapsed arch and you lift your foot and your arch is still collapsed, like, yeah, you might need some of that extra support. But if you lift your foot and you have an arch, cool, strength issue. So here's what we're gonna practice. We're gonna practice some toe yoga. We're gonna do it a couple different ways. So the first one that I have people do is, like, you can see right away that I'm standing here. I have a pretty decent arch. I have a relatively high arch, but if I raise my toes, boom, bigger arch. If I squeeze my toes, bigger arch. Or if I try to stay on this part of my foot, that part that we press off of when we're walking, and I try to raise all my other toes out here on the lateral portion, that also helps me with my arch in there. So I'm working on strengthening those muscles. Now, what's fun about this is, well, fun maybe in the long term. What's easy about this, I can be doing these all the time. I can be doing these sitting, I can be doing them standing, I can be doing them in line at Walmart, just like working on building up my arch. And so you can try a couple different things. One, you can do it for reps. Now, most of the time when we think about standing and walking, we think about endurance rather than true strength. We're not doing like a lot of, snatch type movements with our toes. We're just standing and walking on them. So working on 25, 30, 40 reps at a time, doing this kind of stuff, and or lifting up, pausing. You can hold for a while there and then slowly return back down to the ground, and doing like 5 or 10 of these, but working on different muscle fiber types in your foot itself. So doing those exercises, doing these things, if you have nice 1970s shag carpet, that works fantastic. I know my dad's got some in his house, avocado green, fantastic. But doing some of this crunching in through here will help you kind of, whether you have a towel or something else, will give you a little bit of resistance as you're working on these exercises. Now, some people will notice as they're going through here, like, they get a cramp in their arch right away. Great, that means your arches are really weak. And so they're really tired and they're really fatigued, and you absolutely have to do these exercises. And then the last one is the trickiest one, is kind of lifting up the outside parts of your foot while keeping this part of your foot down. But again, we're working on our arches, we're working on creating stability and strength through your foot. We're working on creating some balance and creating a good point of contact between, the floor and the rest of your body. And if that's broken, people have a hard time the rest of the way up the chain providing stability at their hips and at their knees and things like that. And so if you've been told in the past, like, you've got to wear these arch supports indefinitely, but then you lift your foot up and you have an arch there, like, I would say, no, get to work, start practicing all these things, be super diligent with them. But if you have questions, let us know. If you've been dealing with plantar fasciitis and this other stuff, let us know, because we work on that stuff all the time and we'd love to help you out with that stuff. So until next time, Courtney Morse, Natural Wellness Physiotherapy.